Hey, I hope y'all are having a great day. Just wanted to pop on here and hopefully be an encouragement to you. Um, if you have your Bibles, turn to Joshua chapter 1. Now, this is after Moses has died and Joshua has taken over, taken Moses' place. And the Lord is telling him in verse 5, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So I was going to talk about something that I had an issue with, um, was being courageous. As you always want to think of yourself as being courageous and brave, and how you would handle all these situations as they come into your life. And one thing that I had a problem with was witnessing to people, having the courage to witness to people. Now, I could stand in front of a classroom, a Sunday school, a church, junior church, people that I knew that were saved, and be very courageous in telling the plan of salvation. And there was, people that I could do that. I did it on a bus route. And, but when it come down to really going up to somebody, especially somebody that was in my family and that I loved very much and cared very much about where they were going. And that one person was my dad. Now, my dad was kind of, he grew up rough. He had a rough life as he was growing up. He went into the Marines, and, he was just kind of a rough guy. And he was a very good guy. He would do anything in the world for you. He was the nicest guy in the world until he started drinking, and then that totally changed. Now, he was good to me and my brother. He was very good to us. We knew that we were loved. He took care of us. He was the type of person that if we were sick, he would get up in the middle of the night. Back then, stores didn't stay open 24 hours a day, and he would go and find a store, that was open right all over the place, and find a store that was open to get the medicine or whatever we needed, a Coke, a Sprite, or something to make us feel better. So, we knew we were loved. It never really had to be said. And so I was kind of afraid of him. I'll have to admit that. I was afraid of him at times, different situations, especially if he had been drinking. But I really, really wanted him to get saved. Prayed for years for him to get saved. And I didn't really believe my prayers because I thought that everybody in the world could be saved but him. And so I don't think I had a lot of faith in my prayers, and that's probably why God didn't answer it. Just to be honest with you. Well, I had done what I call chicken witnessing. Like I left tracts at his house, and I bought a Bible, put it beside his bed. When I would go to visit, we'd go to visit him in Cartersville. He would always say, "You need anything? You need some money? You all right? You need me? Need anything?" And I would stick a tract out the window, and I'd be, "No, just read this," and I'd drive off. So that's what I call the chicken way of witnessing to him. I never could bring myself to actually do it. So one summer, we were on a youth group trip. It was Happy Valley. We were on a youth group trip, and there was a tragedy that happened. A young lady named Tanya, she died on that youth group trip. Just a kind of a freak accident. She was in the shower. She had had a headache the night before. She was in the shower the next morning, and something happened, and she died. So they were trying to get the door down to get her out of the shower and or to get her out of the bathroom. And so they pulled her out, and when they did, she was dead. But and I never really seen anyone that was dead other than in a funeral home. And now they did bring her back when the paramedics got there. They were able to bring her back, and she died a few days later. And so something about that incident happening and me being there and seeing a real person die like that. I mean, not really a real person, but see it up close and personal, I guess you would say, um, gave me the courage, showed me that death was real. Even though, I'd been to tons of funerals and lost people that I love, just something about that struck a chord in me and caused me to say, okay, you're going to witness to your dad. No matter what, you're not going to let anything get in your way. So we came back from that trip. We were in Tennessee, and we came back from that trip, and I was going to see my dad. And so we went, me and my two daughters, Lacey and Chantel, and I chickened out. I couldn't do it. I beat myself up all the way home. For the next week, I beat myself up. So we go back the next week to my dad's house. And so I'm like, I am not going to leave there without saying something. I am not going to do it. I'm not going to beat myself up like this anymore. I am going to make sure that I say everything that I can. If he don't get saved, at least I know that I did everything that I could. So we go there, and Lacey and Chantel, they go outside to play. And it's just me and him. And so I start telling him, I'm like, Daddy, do you know if you died today, where would you go? Would you go to heaven? Would you go to hell? And I just kept on talking and giving him the plan of salvation. And he listened to every word that I said. And I asked him, did he want to get saved? And he just bowed his old head and shook his head that he did. And I said, well, you need to ask the Lord to forgive you and to come into your heart and to save you. And he did. And so I was amazed, shocked, didn't know what to think. And so on the way home, of course, I'm thinking, oh, that was too easy. There's no way. He didn't really get saved. That was too easy. And I was like, oh, which I felt better because I'd said everything that I knew to say to try to get him to get saved. But so we were going back to see him the next time. And so we go in there, and he's singing, and he's happy. He's got this Christian TV station on the TV. And I'm like, what's going on here, And then my daughter Chantel, she says, what's wrong with Granddaddy? He's so happy. I've never seen him smile so much. And he's singing and laughing. And I was like, oh, he did. He did get saved. And that was God's assurance, because she noticed it before I did. She noticed a change in him. And so he did get saved. And just, it was that same summer. Let's see, that incident with Tanya happened in June, and he died in September, right around September. And So that was my last chance, really, to witness to him. And then afterwards, after he died, we were cleaning out his house. And my dad used to be a truck driver, and him and his brother Buck also, they were both truck drivers. And sometimes they had done runs together and everything. And so I found these cassettes. If you don't know what cassettes are, it's what we used to have music and be able to video and not video, but record. So I found these cassettes, and they were from a truck stop ministry. And I thought, what in the world, We, at that time, Happy Valley had a truck stop ministry that Tommy Mann and um, Anthony Waters did. And I got that CD and I found something to play it on. And this guy had been talking to my dad about getting saved. He even, on that cassette, he called out my dad's name. He said, I know you're probably driving out on the road, yada, yada, yada. My daddy's name was Jerry, and he said his name and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. All that time I was praying. I didn't think the Lord was answering my prayers, but he was. He was using that truck stop ministry to prepare my daddy's heart. And if, he probably would have got saved sooner if I would have just had the courage to say something. But I didn't do it. But I know that he's in heaven. And, I know there's some friends of mine and probably people I don't know about that have some loved ones that are lost, and maybe you don't know what to say. Maybe you think God's not hearing your prayers, but he is hearing your prayers. Say something. Ask the Lord to give you the courage to speak to them about that, about salvation, about getting saved. I hope that that's an encouragement to you. I wanted to get on here and tell some funny stories about my dad because it was his birthday yesterday, and he's just really been on my heart. I have some great memories of him. I was thinking about the first time I ever had a car accident. It was at the Big D. Those of you that are familiar with Dallas, that is the little gas station that's kind of across the road from Ingles and down the road a little bit on the left. Used to be called the Big D. And we used to ride around the plaza and ride around the Ingles parking lot, which I think it was Walmart back then. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was or not. And then we'd go down around the Big D, turn around, come back, go around McDonald's, back to the plaza. Had this big circle thing that we had going on. And one night I was stopped in the road to turn into the Big D. And one of those Denton boys, I'm not sure which one, decided to put the trunk of my car in the back seat. He was in a Camaro and I was in a Nova, and he succeeded. And maybe Donnie knows which one of his brothers it was, but I thought I was fine. I was, and I went to use the phone to call my mother. The minute I heard her voice, I broke down, started crying. And so there was traffic. We had the road blocked because my car was on one side of the road and his was on the other. And the traffic, like I said, the traffic was backed up, and I was looking down the road and I could see somebody running. And I looked, and I looked some more, and then I realized that was my dad. He was running down the road through the middle of those cars to get to me and to get to us to make sure that we were okay. And I never been so happy to see anybody in my life than I was to see him that night. It's a scary thing, of course, to have wrecks and to be that young and to have all that kind of stuff going on. But that's a great memory I have of him, and I have plenty more memories of him. And if your mom and dad are still around and you're able to, I know some of them are staying in quarantine so they don't get sick, and I definitely understand that. I hadn't been able to see my mother in 2 months. Um, she is in a facility where they're taking care of her after she had a stroke, and I'm thankful for this facility because they don't have any cases of the COVID-19 there, and they're taking really good care of them, and hoping to be able to do one of those window visits next Sunday for Mother's Day. But if your parents are around, you need to go visit them. You need to cherish your parents. If you were like me and you didn't have the courage to say anything, don't let some tragedy happen to give you that courage. I knew back when Tanya died that everything happens for a reason. And when you're involved in something like that, you have to ask yourself, Lord, what did you want me to learn from this? And that's what he wanted me to learn, was to be more courageous. And I hope that this has been an encouragement to you. I hope it didn't scare you or anything like that. But, we are commanded to be courageous. The Lord's going to take care of us. The worst they can do is say no or cuss you out, run you off. You'll live through all that. But I just wanted to share that with you. Tell all of you that I love you. And if you need any help praying about anything, we have a prayer list that we're praying for in our ladies ministry, and I'll be glad to add you to that. And I'll see you next week. Bye.